Hello there, and welcome back to Night Notes. I'm so glad you found your way here. Maybe it's been a long day. Or maybe you're the kind of soul who falls asleep to thoughts too large for the room, to galaxies, to whispers of gravity, to the soft hum of existence itself. Either way, tonight is for you. You have nowhere to go and nothing left to do but rest. So take a slow breath. Let your shoulders fall. Let your heartbeat settle into the rhythm of the dark. Because tonight, we're not counting stars, we're listening to them. We'll drift quietly through our home in the cosmos, the Milky Way. A luminous spiral turning in silence for over 13 billion years. From far away, it looks still. But beneath its calm, everything is moving. Stars are born, others fade, entire clusters fold and unfurl like breaths, too slow for human time. Even now, as you lie here, the earth spins beneath you. The sun drifts through space, and the entire galaxy swirls in a motion so vast, you can only feel it as stillness. That's the secret of the universe. The quieter it seems, the faster it moves. We'll wander through this silent spiral together, from its glowing arms to its shadowed heart, from the newborn light of stars to the ancient gravity that binds them. And as we travel, you may start to feel something shift, as if the border between you and everything else has thinned. Because it has. Every atom in your breath was once light, once part of the very stars we'll visit tonight. You are not outside the galaxy, you are within it, a thought inside a turning dream. So let go. Let your mind drift the way starlight drifts, slow, patient, endless. The journey begins not with motion but with stillness. Listen, somewhere the Milky Way is already singing. If you could step outside the Milky Way and look back from a quiet corner of space, you'd see something vast and slow, a spiral of light, adrift in the dark. It doesn't spin like a wheel, it flows. Every arm a current of stars, a tide of dust, a river of gravity folding upon itself. Our galaxy is not a machine. It's a body alive in its own unfathomable rhythm. Imagine its shape, two grand arms of light sweeping outward, curling around a luminous core. A golden heart beating once every few 100 million years. That heartbeat is motion attuned, so immense it could cradle eternity and still be unfinished. Within that spiral, every star moves in its own quiet orbit, each one following a path written by invisible forces. They pass one another without collision, like thoughts crossing in a dream. And all together they form a pattern too intricate for our eyes, but not for our souls. You live inside this motion. You are carried through space at more than 200 kilometers per second, fast enough to cross the continent in a blink. Yet, you feel nothing. The wind of the galaxy does not brush your skin because you are made of it. Everything you see, everything you are belongs to this slow spinning body of light. The stars that rise above you each night are not fixed. They are traveling, each one on a journey older than life, woven into a grand choreography of creation and decay. Astronomers call it rotation. But perhaps that word is too small. It's more like breathing. The Milky Way expands and contracts, draws in gas, gives birth to new suns, and exhales them as radiant dust. A billion silent lungs, inhaling time, exhaling light. Somewhere within this shimmering sea, the sun drifts through a calm channel, a quiet arm called Orion. a pause in the music, a place gentle enough for life to dream. And here you are, resting inside that dream. A single pulse among billions, a small luminous note in a cosmic song too slow to hear. If you close your eyes now, you can almost feel it, the faint hum of the Milky Way turning the deep, invisible breath that holds us all. It's not imagination. It's memory, written into every atom of you. Not everything that holds you can be seen. Between the stars, between the orbits and the light, there is something vast and invisible. It neither shines nor reflects. It passes through everything, through stars, through planets, through you, like thought through silence. Astronomers call it dark matter, but perhaps dark is the wrong word. It isn't evil or even empty. It's simply unseen, a quiet gravity sculpting the shape of everything that glows. The Milky Way should not exist as it does. By every equation of visible mass, its outer stars spin too fast, its arms should unravel, its light should scatter into space. And yet, it holds. Because something unseen is holding it. A vast halo surrounds the galaxy, not of light, but of influence. A shadow of gravity that outweighs the stars themselves. If you could see it, the Milky Way would look like a delicate spiral floating within an enormous sphere of invisible weight, a luminous heart inside a ghostly cocoon. No telescope has ever captured it. No photograph can reveal it. But every motion of every star whispers its presence. Dark matter bends the paths of light itself, curving the glow of distant galaxies, twisting the very fabric of space. It doesn't ask to be noticed. It only holds things together. And in a quiet way, you're like that too. You have your own invisible mass, the weight of memories, the pull of everything you've ever loved, holding the pieces of you in place. Maybe that's why we find comfort in the unseen, because the universe is built on it. The unseen isn't absence, it's foundation. The part of existence that doesn't need light to be real. So as you breathe, imagine that invisible web stretching through the galaxy, anchoring every orbit, every dust grain, every drifting planet, binding them gently in a dance of perfect tension. It is the quiet architect of motion, the skeleton of dreams, the gravity of the invisible. Without it, the stars would scatter, the planets would fall, and we would never have come to be. Even now, as you rest under the slow-turning sky, it holds you softly, patiently, without ever asking to be seen. The universe is never still. Even galaxies, those vast islands of light, are wanderers. And sometimes they meet. From across millions of light years, their gravity begins to notice one another, a slow attraction, ancient and inevitable. Long before their stars ever touch, their invisible halos intertwine. Their motions curve, their shapes distort, their destinies merge. The Milky Way is not exempt. It too is a traveler with a future already written in the stars. Far beyond the horizon, another great spiral drifts toward us, the Andromeda Galaxy. It moves slowly, too slow for any lifetime to witness, yet unstoppable. In about 4.5 billion years, the two will meet, not with explosion, but with grace. The stars will mostly miss each other. The spaces between them are too wide. Instead, their forms will fold and stretch, their spirals unravel, their black holes circle like twin hearts before merging into one. It will not be an ending. It will be a transformation, a rebirth in light. Astronomers call it a collision. But from another perspective, it's more like an embrace. Two galaxies once separate, finally finding one another after eons of drifting alone. It sounds almost human, doesn't it? Because we know this rhythm, this breaking, this merging, this quiet exchange of identity. Every bond we form, every love we lose, every version of ourselves we shed and rebuild is its own small collision. The universe doesn't destroy when it collides, it reshapes. And so do we. The stars that are born in those future swirls will shine brighter than any that came before their light, carrying the memory of two galaxies woven into one sky. And someday, somewhere in that merged world, another being may look up and whisper, as you do now, how beautiful that something so vast could move with such tenderness. When you close your eyes tonight, imagine that future light, the golden rivers of new stars born from the union of ancient ones. It is the promise of the cosmos. Everything that meets creates something new. Even in destruction, there is design. Even in silence, there is the sound of two galaxies breathing as one. Every galaxy has a heart. Ours is hidden, not of light, but of gravity. At the very center of the Milky Way, beyond the veil of dust and distance, there lies a silence so deep that not even light escapes it. Astronomers call it Sagittarius A. But names are only surface things. In truth, it's a mystery, with weight 4 million times the mass of the Sun compressed into a space smaller than an orbit. It is invisible. Yet its presence can be seen in the way stars near the core race around it, like moths caught in a wind we cannot feel. Some complete their orbits in mere decades, tracing luminous loops through the dark. Their motion outlines what no eye can see, a gravity so absolute that space itself curves inward. And there in that curve lies the sleeping giant. Long ago it may have burned bright, a quasar blazing within falling gas, a wound of light in the fabric of night. Now it rests, quiet, dreaming in its own event horizon. But even in slumber, it rules. Its gravity conducts the galaxy's inner motion, a conductor we cannot see, keeping time for billions of stars. If you could drift close enough, you wouldn't see fire. You'd see stillness. The closer you move, the slower time becomes. Moments stretch, seconds lengthen, until time itself folds into silence. For an observer far away, you would never fall in. You would simply fade forever, frozen at the edge of the impossible. There's a strange comfort in that. The most powerful force in the galaxy is not destruction, but stillness. A black hole is not an ending. It's a kind of recycling matter turned back into mystery. Light becoming possibility again. In the center of everything, a paradox breathes an absence so dense that it becomes presence again. Perhaps that's what peace is, the kind of gravity that asks for nothing yet holds everything close. So if you feel the pull tonight, that quiet yearning for silence, that need to rest in something larger, know that even the galaxy feels it too. It turns endlessly around a still point that never moves, a place where everything falls and everything is held. The sleeping giant waits not to devour, but to remind us that even in darkness there is structure, there is purpose, there is rest. If you could see the Milky Way from the side, not from within its arms, but from a distance, like a traveler watching a lantern in fog, you would notice something unexpected. Its heart is not round. It swells and narrows, bends and blooms, like an hourglass carved from light. Astronomers call it a peanut-shaped bulge. But that phrase hardly fits the wonder. It's a structure formed not by design but by time, by the slow, quiet choreography of billions of stars finding balance. Deep within the core, there is a bar, a bridge of light stretching across the center, dense and bright. Over ages, that bar buckled upward and downward, folding into a glowing hourglass, a cosmic breath made visible. When you imagine, it don't think of shape. Think of movement, the way light bends when gravity whispers, the way motion becomes form, the way pressure becomes beauty. That's what this bulge is, the memory of motion, frozen into geometry. Inside, its stars move like thoughts, rising, falling, oscillating in waves too slow for human eyes. If you could stand there, you might feel no ground at all, only the sense of everything curving around you as though you were standing inside a heartbeat. This is the inner cathedral of the Milky Way. Its walls are not made of stone but of orbit and time, and every beam of light is a prayer, an echo of the galaxy remembering itself. From above, the bulge glows golden, a quiet lantern in the dark sea of dust. From within, it would feel like being surrounded by dawn light all around you, but never coming from one place. Perhaps that's what consciousness feels like too. Not one single brightness, but many lights folding inward, each reflecting the other until they blur into one. The Milky Way's center is not chaos. It's balance, a dance of gravity and grace of structure born from motion, and in a way it mirrors us. We too are not perfect circles. We swell and narrow. We bend beneath unseen forces. We buckle under time and emerge somehow with shape. Every scar, every choice, every orbit of thought, they gather, fold, and form the bulge of who we are. The galaxy is not flawless. It is full of asymmetries, flaws, and beauty, born from imbalance. And maybe that's the secret, that perfection was never the point. The universe was always meant to wobble, to shine unevenly, to glow through dust, to form shapes that make no sense until you see them as light in motion. So close your eyes for a moment. Imagine yourself drifting inside that golden hourglass, the heart of the galaxy breathing slowly around you. You are weightless, folded between its curves, and for one long instant, you are not watching it. You are it. We leave the bright core now and rise, past the spiral arms, past the silver dust and the newborn suns, into a thinner, quieter light. Here the stars are fewer. They drift alone, pale, steady, like thoughts that refuse to fade. This is the halo, a vast, ghostly sphere surrounding the Milky Way. You cannot see it with your eyes. It doesn't blaze or shimmer. It simply is a gentle architecture of age, a crown of memory above and below the galactic disk. The stars here are different. They are old, so old that some were born before the Milky Way itself had a shape. Their light carries almost no heavy elements, only the faint, pure glow of hydrogen and helium, the universe's first breath. Astronomers call them metal-poor stars. But names are too small for such endurance. These are the elders, the first keepers of fire. They drift in long, tilted orbits high above the spiral tracing paths, that remember collisions, mergers, and forgotten beginnings. They are the fossils of light proof that time can burn without breaking. If you could listen to them, you wouldn't hear sound. You'd hear patience, the quiet hum of persistence across billions of years, the low murmur of survival. Each one a witness to the universe before order, before symmetry, before the spiral even knew how to turn. Some of them were born in smaller galaxies, swallowed long ago by the Milky Way's gravity. Now they wander freely in the halo, carrying traces of other skies like travelers who remember different suns. Their chemical fingerprints tell stories of explosions that no one saw, of dust that drifted for aeons, of the first time light found matter and stayed. And if you think about it, they are not so different from us. We too are built from the remnants of what came before, atoms recycled from ancient stars, memories inherited from lives we never lived. Inside every heartbeat is an echo of something that has already happened and will happen again. These elder stars do not burn for warmth anymore. They burn for remembrance. Their light is thin, but unwavering, a whisper across time that says, I am still here. When you look at the night sky, the faintest glimmers, those barely visible sparks on the edge of darkness, may be theirs. You're seeing not the present, but the persistence of the past. And maybe that's what the halo really is, not a structure of matter, but of meaning. A quiet promise from the universe itself that nothing truly ancient is ever gone. It simply drifts higher, slower, and waits to be seen again. There are rivers in the sky. You can't see them with your eyes. They are too thin, too far, too quiet. But they are there, flowing in arcs and curves that stretch across the heavens. Not of water, but of stars. They are called stellar streams. Ghost trails drawn by gravity's patient hand. Each one is the remains of a smaller galaxy that wandered too close to the Milky Way. Over millions of years it was pulled apart, its stars unraveling its shape, dissolving until nothing was left but a ribbon of light. Those stars now drift through the halo, circling our galaxy like threads of memory. Their motion traces the story of what once was, worlds, swallowed identities, blurred histories absorbed. And yet, none of it was truly lost. Every stream still carries the rhythm of its origin, a quiet signature encoded in the stars' movement, in their chemistry, in their faint, unwavering paths. If you could see them from afar, they'd look like veins of silver coiling through the dark, delicate, fractured, beautiful. The galaxy doesn't erase what it consumes. It integrates it. It turns loss into structure. Every merger, every collision, every dissolution is folded back into the fabric of the whole. You and I are made the same way. We too are composed of what came before, the old versions of ourselves, the people we've loved and lost, the experiences that scattered and reshaped us. Nothing is wasted. Every emotion, every ending becomes a thread in the pattern of what we are now. Our memories form ghost streams of their own ribbons of light through the darkness of time. And maybe that's the quiet genius of the cosmos. It knows how to remember without clinging, how to hold what was while still becoming something new. When you gaze at the night sky, you're not just seeing stars. You're seeing history, still in motion, ancient galaxies being carried forward, their remnants flowing gently through the dark, like constellations caught between past and becoming. each one a ghost that refused to vanish, each one proof that even in destruction, there can be grace. So tonight, if you feel something from your past drift through your thoughts, let it. Don't fight the pull. The galaxy doesn't. It simply lets its ghosts become rivers of light. Between the stars, there is dust, not the kind that gathers on bookshelves or drifts through sunlight in a quiet room. This dust is older, wiser. It is the residue of ancient stars, the ashes of explosions, the remains of light itself. Each tiny grain drifts alone through the darkness, a fragment of something that once burned. They travel for millions of years, collecting in clouds so vast they could cradle thousands of suns. From far away, these clouds look black, dense, featureless, as if they were empty. But that darkness is a veil. Behind it, creation is happening. Inside those hidden chambers, dust and gas begin to gather. Gravity pulls the grains together, pressing them into knots of warmth, into cocoons of potential. And in those cocoons, something miraculous stirs a spark. A temperature rise, a flicker of fusion. A star is born, but that's not all that forms there. Within the coldest parts of those clouds, the dust itself begins to change. Atoms cling to atoms, molecules twist together, carbon, hydrogen, oxygen. Simple at first, then more elaborate. Chains of complexity, patterns of chemistry that hum faintly with the potential for life. These are not living things, not yet, but they remember how to be. They are dust that dreams, and when those stars ignite, their light warms the clouds, scattering those molecules back into space to fall again. Later, onto new planets, onto oceans, onto someone's breath. It's easy to forget, but everything around you was once dust. The calcium in your bones, the iron in your blood, the oxygen you breathe, all forged in stars, carried through the galaxy in these drifting clouds and gathered here now into you. When you touch your skin, you're touching the history of the Milky Way. When you exhale, you return a little of it to the cosmos. We think of life as separate from the universe, fragile, accidental, rare. But perhaps life is what happens when the universe dreams of itself. And maybe that dream began in those dark, silent clouds where dust learned to listen to change, to become something that could someday look up and wonder where it came from. You are not made of stardust. You are stardust momentarily remembering its own name. So breathe deeply and let that dust rest again. It has traveled long enough. The earth turns once every 24 hours. The moon circles us every 27 days. The earth in turn travels around the sun once each year. Those rhythms feel immense until you compare them to the rhythm of the galaxy. Our solar system does not stand still. It too is moving, gliding through the Milky Way's great spiral arm, orbiting the galactic center at nearly 230 kilometers per second. At that speed, we could circle the Earth in less than 3 minutes, and yet it takes about 225 million years to make just one full revolution, one orbit of the Sun around the Milky Way, one galactic year. By that measure, our entire human story has lasted only a blink, the faintest shimmer on a turning wheel of light. Since the Sun first formed, it has completed barely 20 of these grand orbits. 20 galactic years, that's all. When the first dinosaurs walked across the ancient Earth, our solar system was in a completely different region of the galaxy. When the continents were one, we were facing another sky entirely. The stars you see tonight are not the ones your ancestors saw, and they will not be the ones your descendants will see. Everything drifts, everything moves. And yet, it feels still because we are moving with it. If you could see the path of our sun through space, you'd see a long looping arc, a slow spiral within a spiral. We are not fixed. We are always crossing new territory, sailing through invisible seas of gas and dark matter, passing between the arms of the galaxy like travelers between waves. The Milky Way does not rush. It turns once every few 100 million years, and we are simply passengers, a temporary rhythm nested within larger rhythms. It is a hum beneath all hums. Perhaps that's why sleep feels so peaceful, because for a moment, we match that greater pace. We slow down enough to hear the long heartbeat of the galaxy. Time stretches differently here. What we call a lifetime is just a spark in a spiral 100,000 light years wide. But that spark yours still matters, because even the briefest light adds its color to the whole. The galaxy's year is not like ours. It has no beginning or end. Only motion, only continuity. A long, slow orbit that never hurries, never stops. So if tonight you feel small, remember you are part of that movement. Your heart beats to the rhythm of a star, drifting through a luminous tide. You are older than any calendar, younger than any dawn, and perfectly in sync with a universe that has never truly stood still. You feel still, don't you? Lying there, eyes closed, breath slow, the weight of the world holding you gently in place. But that stillness is only a feeling. In truth, nothing is still. Not you, not me, not the ground beneath us. Even now, as you rest, the earth turns a full rotation every 24 hours, spinning you eastward at nearly 1,000 miles per hour. The air moves with you. The clouds drift above, and beneath your feet, the continents slide quietly across molten rock, imperceptibly slow, yet unstoppable. And that's just the beginning. The earth orbits the sun. The sun drifts through the Milky Way. The Milky Way glides through the cosmic web, carried by the gravity of unseen structures. Every second you move through the universe at hundreds of thousands of kilometers per hour. And yet, it feels like peace. Stillness and motion are not opposites. They are partners, balance in disguise. You are part of a grand rotation, not just turning, but being turned. You don't fall from the sky because the earth carries you in its endless dance. And perhaps that's what safety really is, not the absence of movement, but trust in its rhythm. When you walk outside at night, look down. The ground beneath you is moving through space, a speck on a speck, spinning through a spiral of stars, and yet, somehow, miraculously steady. The trees grow upward on a planet that is constantly falling around a star. The oceans swell on a sphere that never stops turning. And your breath, that gentle rise and fall, is a small echo of all of it. The universe breathes through you. The Milky Way hums beneath you. The planet spins you softly toward morning. So if the world feels unstable, remember, it has always been in motion. And yet, somehow, you are still here, safe, carried, spinning quietly through the stars. Look out into the night sky. Every star you see, every nebula, every cluster, every golden thread of the Milky Way is just a fraction of what exists. Because most of the galaxy is invisible. By all logic, it shouldn't hold together. The outer stars spin too fast, the arms stretch too far. If only visible matter existed, the galaxy would have unraveled long ago, flung apart into the dark. And yet, it hasn't. Something unseen holds it in place, a hidden weight, a quiet presence. Astronomers call it dark matter. Not because it's evil, but because it doesn't shine. It doesn't glow, reflect, or absorb light. It moves through stars, through planets, through us, without a trace. But we know it's there because of how it pulls. It bends the paths of stars. It sculpts the shapes of galaxies. It forms halos that cradle everything we see. It is gravity's ghost, the unseen architecture of existence. We are surrounded by it, bathed in it, held by it. And yet, we will never touch it. We can only feel its influence. Maybe life is like that too. Maybe what holds us together isn't always visible. Love, memory, hope, the invisible forces that shape the orbits of our hearts. You can't see them, but you know when they're there, when something steadies you in a moment you thought you'd fall apart. Dark matter doesn't ask to be known. It doesn't shimmer or speak. It simply keeps the galaxy whole, and that's enough. If you could see it, truly see it, the Milky Way would appear wrapped in a soft, luminous fog, a vast web of gravity connecting every star, every planet, every drifting particle of dust. The entire galaxy suspended in a net of nothingness that is somehow everything. That web stretches far beyond us, across clusters of galaxies, across the universe itself, binding all matter into one quiet structure. A cosmic skeleton, a heartbeat of gravity. And you are inside it, right now. Cradled by something you can't see yet, that never lets go. The universe doesn't need to be visible to be real. And neither do the things that hold you. At the center of our galaxy, 40,000 light years from here, there is silence. Not the kind of silence you find in an empty room, but the kind that bends light, a silence so heavy that even sound, even time cannot escape it. Astronomers call it Sagittarius A, a supermassive black hole 4 million times the mass of our sun, tucked behind clouds of dust and layers of invisible gas. We cannot see it directly, no light escapes from it. But we know it's there because of what it does to the stars around it. They race. They twist in tight orbits, whipping around a center that looks empty but is not. In that nothingness lies a presence so dense that it shapes everything nearby. It is the Milky Way's anchor, its quiet core, its sleeping heart. Sometimes gas and dust fall into it, spiraling inward, heating, flaring in bursts of X-rays as they vanish beyond the event horizon. Then it rests again, a beast between breaths. Long ago, it may have burned like a quasar, a radiant furnace, brighter than all the galaxy's stars combined. But now it slumbers, dreaming in gravity, holding everything together with an invisible pull. If you could drift near it, time itself would slow. Seconds would stretch, light would curve, the stars would whirl around you like sparks circling a drain of darkness. It would not be violent, not at first. It would feel almost gentle, the way a whisper pulls you closer. Only when you cross the horizon would you understand what forever means. But here's the strange part: black holes aren't endings, they're beginnings. What falls in isn't destroyed, it's transformed. Energy becomes curve, matter becomes memory. The universe folds itself inward and begins again in ways we cannot yet comprehend. Maybe that's why we dream. Maybe the mind has its own event horizon, a place where thoughts fall inward and are reborn as something new. Every galaxy has one of these hearts. Every spiral, every cluster turns around an unseen gravity. And perhaps we do too. Something deep inside us that doesn't shine, doesn't speak, but pulls everything else into orbit. A quiet center, a gravity of being, a sleeping heart. The Milky Way turns around its silence and still it shines. Maybe that's the message hidden at the core of it all, that you don't need to burn to hold things together. Sometimes it's the silence that keeps the light in place. From the quiet gravity of the core, we rise again outward through the dust past clusters of ancient stars into the Milky Way's luminous arms. Here the galaxy blooms. Each spiral arm is not a solid structure, but a wave, a rhythm, moving through space, compressing clouds of gas and dust as it travels. Where the wave passes, stars ignite. Where it moves on, darkness gathers again. It is a breathing pattern, a galactic pulse. If you could hover above it, the Milky Way would look alive, a glowing swirl of silver and blue, each curve glittering with thousands of newborn suns. These are the stellar nurseries where hydrogen gathers like morning mist and gravity begins its patient work. Deep inside, tiny pockets of warmth collapse and ignite, becoming stars, each with its own light, its own orbit, its own potential for worlds. From those same clouds, planets will one day form rings of dust, flattening into disks, colliding, coalescing, and cooling into stones, seas, and stories. Every sunrise on every world begins here in these glowing rivers that wind across the night. But the arms themselves are not permanent. They drift, they ripple like tides. Stars move in and out of them, shining for a time before sliding into quieter regions. The spiral is an illusion, a pattern that sustains itself by motion. Much like life, we too move through invisible arms waves of change, moments of density and quiet times, of burning times of rest, and still the pattern holds. Something greater carries us forward. We don't need to see its shape to trust that it's there. The Milky Way is not a clock. It is a current, a vast celestial river where stars are born, drift, and fade, only to become dust again. Even our sun is part of this dance, gliding through the Orion Spur, a quiet lane between greater arms. Not too bright, not too crowded, just calm enough for life to unfold. Perhaps that's no accident. Perhaps every spiral, every motion, every wave of light leads to this moment, to you breathing alive, listening to the hum of the galaxy. The arms of the Milky Way are not just places in space, they are movements in time. And tonight, you are part of that motion, a spark caught in the river of radiance drifting gently through the dark. The galaxy shines in spirals, curving rivers of light, vast arcs of newborn suns. But between those spirals, there is quiet. Not silence that feels cold, silence that feels alive. Like the pause between heartbeats or the still air between waves. These are the regions between the Milky Way's arms, the interarm spaces. They look dark, empty, forgotten. But they are not. They are the galaxy's moments of rest, the pauses that make the pattern possible. Here the stars are older. Their light is softer, their motion slower. The gas is thinner. The dust is spread wide. It is not a place of creation but of continuation. A long, gentle exhale. Without these spaces, the arms would blur together. The rhythm would vanish. Even the galaxy needs to breathe. We often fear stillness. We mistake it for absence. But look closer. In the spaces between spirals, new stars begin to drift outward, carrying with them the light of their birthplaces. They wander alone, but not lost, weaving invisible threads that keep the pattern whole. There is structure even in stillness. There is purpose in the pause. The Milky Way's beauty depends on what it does not fill. The darkness defines the light. The quiet carries the sound. The space between the arms lets the spiral unfold. Your life is the same. You too have spirals, moments of brightness, creation, motion, and quiet lanes between them. Times when nothing seems to move, when you feel distant from the glowing parts of yourself. But those are not lost years. They are the interarm spaces where your spirit catches its breath. The galaxy would collapse if it only burned. It survives because it also rests. So if you find yourself in a quiet stretch of your life, don't rush to escape it. This is the place where light gathers its strength, where gravity holds you just long enough to form something new. Even stars wander between the arms before finding another home. Even galaxies drift through quiet seasons between bursts of creation. The pause is part of the pattern, and you are part of the pause. If you could slow time, really slow it, you'd see the Milky Way breathe. It's not the kind of breath we know. No lungs, no sound. Just movement, a slow, graceful exchange between the galaxy's heart and its halo. When massive stars die, they explode, casting gas and dust upward from the galactic plane in great waves of heat and light. This material rises high like embers from a cosmic fire, cooling as it ascends. Then after millions of years, it falls again, drifting back toward the disk, settling softly into new clouds, ready to form new stars. Astronomers call it the galactic fountain, a cycle of creation and return. A quiet, endless respiration that keeps the Milky Way alive. In this way, the galaxy cleanses itself. It redistributes its elements: iron from old stars, carbon from long-dead giants, oxygen from ancient supernovae. What was once part of one world becomes the seed of another. Every inhale, a gathering of potential. Every exhale, a release of renewal. You are breathing with it right now. Not symbolically, literally. The oxygen in your lungs was forged in stars that lived, died, and exhaled their elements into this same cycle. The galaxy's breath is inside you, and maybe the opposite is true as well. Every breath you take returns carbon to the air, which drifts into clouds, which one day will feed another star. You are part of this exchange, a tiny rhythm within a greater rhythm. The Milky Way does not rush. Its breaths span millions of years. It doesn't inhale out of need or exhale out of exhaustion. It simply moves, balancing itself between stillness and motion, gravity and release. We could learn from that. The galaxy never clings to what it makes. It lets go. It trusts the return. It believes in cycles. And because of that, it endures. If the universe can breathe, then so can you. In through the stars, out through the silence. In through the present, out through the past. Tonight, as you rest, imagine the galaxy breathing with you, a long, soft motion across light years. When you inhale, you are taking in starlight. When you exhale, you are giving something back. There is no separation, only rhythm, only exchange, only the quiet assurance that every end is just a different kind of beginning. From afar, we often picture the Milky Way as perfect, a flat, elegant spiral, its arms winding evenly through the dark. But if you could step back far enough, beyond the haze of stars, beyond even the halo of ancient light, you'd see something different. The Milky Way is not flat at all. Its disk bends a slow, sweeping curve that rises on one side and dips on the other, like a sheet of silk caught in a gentle wind. Astronomers call it the galactic warp, a quiet asymmetry that gives the galaxy its living shape. It's subtle, almost imperceptible from within, but it's there, a reminder that even the grandest things carry small, graceful flaws. No one is certain what causes it. Perhaps nearby dwarf galaxies like the Magellanic Clouds tug gently at the Milky Way's edges, pulling it upward and down. Perhaps the invisible threads of dark matter are pressing from below, tilting the disk like a leaf floating on a current. Whatever the cause, the result is beautiful. The galaxy isn't rigid, it's alive, bending and flexing under invisible touch. It reminds me of us. We too are shaped by unseen forces. Gravity isn't the only thing that pulls. Memories bend us. Loss tilts us. Love reshapes our orbit. And still, we continue to turn. We may wobble, but we don't fall apart. We bend, but we remain whole. The Milky Way's warp is not a flaw. It's a dance. A visible record of its relationships. A reflection of every tug, every encounter, every passing influence that has ever brushed against it. It wears its history like motion. It moves through space like a memory. And maybe that's the quiet truth hidden in its curve. Perfection is not stillness. It's movement that adapts. A grace that yields without breaking. The galaxy's edges wave softly as it spins, sending ripples of motion through the stars. Those ripples echo for millions of years, shaping how matter gathers, how light bends, how beauty appears. Even the horizon of our home is not straight. It undulates slowly, gently, like the breath of something vast and alive. So the next time you look up, remember the sky is not flat. It's curved by history, softened by motion, tilted by time. And so are we. We are all in our own way, beautifully warped, and still turning toward the light. Far beyond the Milky Way's spiraling arms, past the glowing rivers of starlight and the gentle warp of its disk, there lies something almost invisible. It has no sharp edge, no border, no beginning or end, just a slow fade into darkness. This is the galactic halo, a vast, ghostly sphere that envelops the Milky Way like a dim, ancient aura. You cannot see it with your eyes. It holds no dense clusters of light. It is thin, almost empty. And yet, it may contain most of the galaxy's mass. Scattered across it are the oldest stars in existence, faint red and patient. They drift in enormous orbits, taking billions of years to circle the galactic heart once. Some were born before the Milky Way itself. Leftovers from smaller galaxies that were torn apart and absorbed long ago. Their orbits are tilted uneven and full of quiet defiance. The lingering paths of stars that refuse to forget where they came from. Around them float globular clusters, spherical gatherings of hundreds of thousands of stars, tightly bound, ancient beyond measure. They move like golden lanterns in a sea of dark matter, each one a time capsule from the universe's earliest days. If you could stand in the halo, looking back toward the Milky Way, you'd see the galaxy not as a band across the sky, but as a glowing whirlpool, a distant spiral of light swirling in the infinite black. It would feel lonely, but not empty, because everything here, every drifting cluster, every faint, tired star, is part of the same story. Each one a ghost still circling the home that outlived them. The halo is memory made visible. It carries the echoes of what the galaxy has lost, the remains of shattered worlds, dispersed civilizations of stars, the debris stretched thin across eternity. And yet, it isn't mournful. It's peaceful. It's what happens when endings are allowed to keep orbiting, when what once burned bright is given the freedom to fade, slowly, gracefully into the dark. Maybe we too leave halos behind, invisible orbits of memory that linger around those we've touched, a laugh, a word, a shared silence, small traces of gravity that never really let go. The halo doesn't shine, it doesn't compete, it simply surrounds. It holds the galaxy together from a distance, quietly, patiently, faithfully. The galaxy wouldn't exist without it, and no one ever sees it. Perhaps that's the truest kind of love, the kind that holds everything in place without asking to be seen. Out here in the cold outskirts of the galaxy, the darkness feels deeper. The spiral arms have faded behind us. The familiar constellations are gone. Only faint pale lines stretch across the night, so thin, so quiet, you might miss them if you didn't know where to look. They are the stellar streams, rivers of stars flowing endlessly through the halo. Each one is a remnant, a ghostly trail left behind when a smaller galaxy wandered too close to the Milky Way. Its stars were pulled away strand by strand, their orbits stretched and scattered until only a glowing filament remained. They look fragile, but they are powerful. Each stream carries the history of a collision, a dance between gravity and time. If you could trace one from end to end, you'd follow a loop that wraps around the galaxy, a luminous thread woven through darkness. They curve, like the paths of tears in water, soft, endless, unhurried. Every star within them still moves, as if remembering the shape of the galaxy that birthed it. And maybe that's what memory really is, a kind of motion that never stops. Astronomers have mapped dozens of these streams, ribbons named after constellations and ancient myths. the Sagittarius stream, the Orphan stream, the GD1. Each one tells the story of a lost world of light unspooled across the centuries. Some of these stars were born billions of years ago in galaxies smaller than the Milky Way's shadow. Now they drift here, becoming part of us. Their light blends with ours. Their motion adds to the greater pattern. Destruction, it seems, is one of the galaxy's quietest forms of creation. For even as it consumes, it builds. Even as it takes, it weaves. The Milky Way's shape, its halo, its ripples, its warp, is partly sculpted by these streams. They are its memory, its map of encounters. And when you look at the night sky, when you see a faint streak of starlight stretching across the dark, you are witnessing motion, frozen in eternity. A reminder that even what is torn apart can still form something whole. Perhaps we leave our own streams too. Paths of love words, moments that stretch far beyond our sight, ribbons of presence curving through the lives of others. We are all in some way the remnants of something that came before and the beginnings of something yet unseen. The galaxy teaches us this again and again, that loss is not the end. It is the reshaping of light. Not everything that shapes the galaxy can be seen. Some forces leave no trace of light, no shimmer or flare. They move through space the way thought moves, through silence, invisible but undeniable. These are the magnetic fields of the Milky Way. They thread through the galactic disk curve, through the halo, and loop above the spiral arms like unseen filaments of motion. They are delicate yet vast, weak by earthly measure, 1,000,000 times fainter than the magnet that holds a note to your fridge, and yet they span 100,000 light years. They reach everywhere. No one sees them directly. But we know they exist because of how they shape the dance of dust and gas. Charged particles spin along their lines, dust grains align to their pull, and radio waves passing through them twist in polarization, tiny turns of light that reveal the structure of the invisible. If you could see the Milky Way's magnetism, it would look like an ocean of motion currents weaving through the stars, eddies circling in the void. Not static lines, but flowing ribbons, pulsing softly. Like breath, the galaxy doesn't glow just with light, it hums with magnetism. Every star, every cloud, every cosmic ray feels its influence. It is the quiet architecture beneath the visible, the hidden tension that gives the spiral its grace. And maybe that's how we are held too. By forces we don't see, but somehow feel. You can't point to love. You can't measure trust. But they curve the paths of our lives, just as these fields curve the paths of stars. Every movement of the galaxy is a balance between gravity and magnetism, between the pull inward and the breath that flows through. Without either, nothing would hold together. Without both, nothing would move. Perhaps that's what harmony really is, not stillness, but tension that learns how to sing. The Milky Way's magnetic field is weak, subtle, almost imperceptible, and yet it binds light itself. Invisible doesn't mean absent. Quiet doesn't mean powerless. Some of the most beautiful things in this universe work best when no one notices them. So tonight, as you breathe, Imagine those unseen threads around you, the delicate filaments that connect you to every atom, every cloud, every drifting particle of dust in the galaxy. You are already part of the field, already held, already connected. The pull you feel toward wonder is just magnetism of another kind. If you listen closely enough, beyond the hum of cities, beyond the rustle of your breath, you might imagine a sound so faint, so constant, it feels like silence itself. But it's not silence. It's the galaxy singing through you. Every second, billions of cosmic rays pass through your skin, your bones, your blood. They are tiny fragments of atoms, protons, electrons, nuclei, flung across the cosmos by exploding stars, colliding galaxies, and the quiet fury of black holes. They travel at nearly the speed of light, crossing vast distances for millions of years, bent by magnetic fields, deflected by clouds of dust, and yet, somehow, they find you. They arrive without sound, without warning. They do not ask permission. They simply pass like ghosts made of motion. And in that passing, they tell a story. Every cosmic ray is a message, a trace of energy born in a place we can barely imagine. A dying star, a nova's last breath, a neutron star colliding with its twin, an ancient supernova that burned and vanished before Earth had oceans. The air around you is full of these silent messengers, particles from 1,000 different origins, carrying the memory of violence that gave birth to beauty. Astronomers detect them with vast observatories, plates of ice buried underground satellites that feel the faintest tremor of impact. They map the invisible rain that falls upon us all the time, even in our sleep. You are never apart from the galaxy. Even now it passes through you, lightless, ceaseless, intimate. And maybe that's what wonder really is, realizing that the universe doesn't just surround you, it moves through you. Every second, every heartbeat, every breath. The cosmic rays don't harm you. They remind you. They are the quiet proof that you are part of something immense, a story written not just in light, but in motion, in particles, in silence. You don't have to reach for the stars. They're already inside you. You are quite literally made of the universe and constantly rewritten by it. Even in the stillness of night, you are part of a cosmic choir singing songs you cannot hear in a language older than time. Somewhere far away, two stars are falling toward each other. Not ordinary stars, but neutron stars. The collapsed hearts of giants. Each one no larger than a city, yet heavier than the sun. They spin fast, like cosmic blades of gravity, dragging space itself into their orbit. And for millions of years, they circle closer, tighter, until one day they touch. The moment is brief, the result eternal. A flash, brighter than a billion suns. A surge of energy so immense it ripples through the very fabric of space. We call it a kilonova. In that instant, something extraordinary happens. The universe begins to forge. Gold, platinum, uranium, elements too heavy to form in ordinary stars, born here in the fire of finality. Atoms are smashed together, densities unimaginable, pressures infinite. In that collision of death, the universe makes its rarest treasures. Then the light fades. The new elements scatter, carried away on expanding waves of dust and gas drifting through interstellar space. They cool, condense, and one day fall into the clouds that will form new stars, new planets, new lives. That is where your gold came from. The ring on your hand, the metal in your heart, the trace elements in your blood. All of it was born in the death cry of ancient stars. The universe recycles everything, even beauty, especially beauty. When astronomers first detected these kilonovae, they realized they were watching the alchemy of the cosmos, a forge older than fire itself. And that revelation carries a quiet truth. Even destruction can be generous. The universe doesn't end with endings. It transforms, it renews. It gives its light back in different forms. Perhaps that's why grief feels so heavy, because it's dense with potential. Something is always born in the space left behind. The same process that made your jewelry also made your blood. The same violence that ended two stars made the color of sunrise. When you look at gold, you are holding the memory of a collision that once shook the universe. You are holding what was made from endings. And maybe that's what we are, two pieces of lost light reassembled into wonder, shining quietly in the long afterglow of everything that came before. Imagine trying to draw your own home while sitting in one of its rooms. That's what it's like for astronomers mapping the Milky Way. We live inside it, buried deep within its swirling disk, surrounded by stars on every side. And from here, it's impossible to see the whole. We look out across the sky and see a pale band of starlight arching from horizon to horizon. It feels complete, but it's only the view from within, like seeing a forest from between its trees. The truth is, we still don't fully know what our galaxy looks like, how many spiral arms it has, how far they stretch, where they twist or fade or merge. For decades, we believed there were 4 great arms sweeping out from the center like ribbons of light. Then, new maps suggested 2. Then something in between, branches and fragments, curling, splitting, rejoining like veins of starlight. Even now, with satellites like Gaia charting the positions of billions of stars, the Milky Way remains an unfinished map, a mystery we live inside. It's humbling to think that the galaxy that gave us life still hides its shape from us. That even with all our telescopes, our data, our equations, we are still explorers, sailing through a sea we cannot see the edges of. And maybe that's the point. Maybe not knowing is part of the beauty, because wonder needs space. Mystery gives meaning to motion. The stars you see tonight are only fragments of a greater picture, a pattern too vast for any single lifetime to contain. But you're part of it, moving with it, orbiting quietly through an unfinished design. The Milky Way doesn't rush to reveal itself. It unfolds slowly, like a story told across billions of years. A story that's still being written, and one we get to live inside for a moment. So as you close your eyes tonight, know this: the map is incomplete, and that's okay. Because the unknown is where wonder begins. Sleep well, traveler. We'll continue this journey next time into the quiet heart of the galaxy itself, where light bends, time slows, and gravity sinks.